Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Hey, welcome to Wednesday, middle of the week. Hope you're having a wonderful week. We are, thus far, in the mountaintop enclave that is Student of the Gun University. Yes, coming to you from 7,000 feet high. That's right. How you guys doing this week? Doing all right? I know it's a rhetorical question, Woodcock, but hey, Jarrad, how's that 844 number coming? Is it working? Are people using it?
Yeah, people are using it.
People letting their fingers do the walking?
Yep. And their mouth do the talking.
Do you know what that's in reference to? You don't.
No,
even
I have
know.
no idea. That
is an old Yellow Pages ad. Let your fingers do the walking. Yellow Pages.
What's Yellow Pages?
Well, back in the old days, we had these big, thick things made out of dead tree. We chopped down trees and we made them into paper, and we dyed it yellow. And they brought them around to your house so that your little kids, like your 4 and 5 year olds, they could sit up higher at the table. That's all right. How many of you out there now? If you lived in the country or a rural area where the phone book was like 1 inch thick or 1.5 inches thick, it didn't really matter. But when you grew up in Detroit, Michigan, the phone book was about 3 inches thick. So when your kids needed a boost, when you needed to boost your kids up to the table, you had them sit on a phone book. How many of you guys out there sat on a phone book when you're like 4, 5, 6 years old? I did. I know I sat on a phone book. Today, sit on a phone book. You mean like your iPhone? Yeah. You know what's crazy? When we left Biloxi, every year they were still bringing around what was a shadow or a shell of what had once been a phone book, and it was about 1 inch or so thick, and they would throw it at the end of the driveway. Of course, we had a long drive. Our drive was like 100 feet long or so. So, yeah, they'd drive by, slow down, and they put it in a plastic bag, pitch it out into the driveway. And if it was raining or we didn't notice it, it would get all wet and ruined, and I'd have to go down there and pick it up and throw it in a garbage can. Thank you very much, buttheads. But, yes, olden days, 1960s, 70s, 80s, sitting on phone books. Richard Davis, the founder of Second Chance Body Armor, that's one of the things he used to do to minimize the shock impact of shooting himself in the chest with a .44 Magnum, is he would take a phone book and stick it up underneath the vest and shoot himself. And the phone book wasn't there to stop the bullet. The phone book was there to disperse the shock wave a little bit. And then Richard Davis's doctor said, "You need to stop doing that now. You need to stop shooting yourself in the chest with a .44 Magnum now. I don't care that it's stopping the bullet. It's like you're like punching yourself in the heart. It's like standing still and letting someone take a full swing with a baseball bat and smack you in the chest. Stop doing that. You're going to die." But yeah, way back, old stuff when we used to. I remember when I was a fledgling cop, and Second Chance would send you a VHS tape called Second Chance Proof or something like that, or and it was a VHS tape. They used to make them out of plastic, kids, and you stuck them in this machine, and you had to adjust the tracking. Yes, indeed, olden times. But the phone number that we're going to let our fingers do the walking is 844-207-7684. And you're going to do is if you're interested in training, if you're interested in receiving training notices from Student of the Gun University, which is where we happen to be, coincidentally, you're going to text the word TRAIN to 844-207-7684. You can even do that right now. You could pause the program, do that, and then come back to the program.
You know what's also awesome is you can keep listening and do it at the same time.
Oh, that's true. You can do that if you,
Yeah, I
you can
realized that
multitask on your phone.
After I said pause last time, I realized that they could just do it like as I say it. So open up your little text app thing right there, and then you type in, I'm going to wait. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Now that you have it open, you're going to type the numbers 844-207-7684, and now you're going to text or type the little, push in the little message box, and you're going to type TRAIN, and now hit the send button. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. See, that's how we are here. We can guide you through
Come
it.
to your house and text and type it in for you. It's like when people, oh, come on, folks. When people send you they post a Facebook message and they're like, how do I find out more information about the blankety blank? Like, you do realize that you used a computer to send me that message, right?
Yeah.
In the time it took you to send me a message on Facebook that says, how do I find out more information about, you could have just found out more information.
Well, the good news is that now
Let me Google that for you.
Yeah, now that you already wrote that sentence, you can copy and paste it into Google.
Just highlight that sentence, put it up into the search bar, and hit enter. There you go. What? That's crazy talk. I don't know what you're talking about. But you know what I'm talking about? I'm not talking about pop music. I'm talking about fighting fitness. And I can't wait for King Julian to get me moving. He wants to do it.
Today's SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk, I just want to take a moment to remind you about your fitness goals and that I'm here to help you with your fitness goals. If you haven't already, you can send me an email. You can send it to Jarrad, Jarrad, @studentofthegun.com. And all I want you to do is put in 3 goals that you would like to reach in 2017. Now, if you're dedicated enough to do that, I'm dedicated enough to help you. So what I'll do is I will follow up with you. I've been doing it about once a quarter or twice a quarter. And I'll follow up with you and just check in, see how your goals are going. If you need any help, then I'll help you. Now, I haven't had anybody email in yet that I could not help, that was so advanced that they were above my pay grade. So if you think that that's you, then that would be great. I would love to run into that problem.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
If you could just do that.
That would be great.
That would be great.
Yeah. So anyway, just send me an email. Include your 3 goals that you want to reach in 2017. And they don't even have to be just fitness goals. Just hold yourself accountable for anything. Send me those goals, and then I will help keep you accountable. And if I have advice to give you, then I'll give it to you. And if I don't, then I'll simply tell you that your goals are too advanced for me.
Well, there you go. But I bet you know people.
I do. Yeah. And that's one thing that I do. I check in with some of my friends and people in the fitness industry and the business industry that can help me help you.
It's called networking, ladies and gentlemen.
And it works like fantastically.
I think it was, was it Ford? Not President Ford, but Ford of the Ford Motor Company. Said, maybe it wasn't Ford. I'm trying to think of which, but it was an entrepreneur who had a major business in the United States, and he said I don't need to know how to do everything. It might have been Henry Ford who said it. He goes, I don't need to know how to do everything. I just need to know people who can do it, who can do everything, and that's what networking is all about. It's good to know things yourself, but the fact of the matter is you can't know everything. What's more important in your life, kind of like, it's kind of like a Patriot fire team, Jarrad. It's almost like if rather than trying to do everything yourself and carry the burden on your shoulders all by yourself, it would actually be more beneficial to you to have 2 or 3 other people that you could rely on to help you get that stuff done. Isn't that crazy? It's almost like that someone who looks a lot like me has given that advice previously.
Yep.
Isn't it strange how that works out? Yeah. But the biggest thing, and I'm just going to dovetail real quick, and then we'll move on with fitness goals, is honesty. Honesty, and it doesn't have to be huge. I'm going to bench press 500 pounds, in 3 months. Okay, great, but be honest with yourself, and be honest with yourself, honest enough to say, where I am now is where I am. It's neither good nor bad. It just is. And goals help me to get to the next level. And the next level could be whatever, losing 3 pounds or 5 pounds, or the next level could be lifting another 10 pounds, or the next level could be, my shot groups, when I go to the pistol range, looks like I'm patterning double-aught buck, and I don't want that to be anymore. I want it to be better. Have goals for yourself and be honest with yourself. And it doesn't do you any good to set goals that you have no intention of reaching. And that's called intestinal fortitude. And sometimes, as Jarrad mentioned earlier, one of the ways that you can achieve your goals is to enlist the assistance of other people. Not try and carry the entire burden all yourself, which is what many of us do. Let's face it, a lot of you out there are either alpha or semi-alpha or beta plus personalities, and what do you try to do? You try to carry, especially if you're a man, you try to carry the entire burden all on your own shoulders. Don't do it. Don't do it.
And if you don't want me to know what your goals are, that's cool too. Another way that you can help yourself is get a magnetic whiteboard, write those 3 goals, and put them on the refrigerator.
There you go. All right. Is your goal to be an armed citizen? It is. Is your goal to be armed all the time, not just occasionally? And who was it that said that? Was it Chase Hicks that said that about going to his family reunion?
Oh, yeah.
If your goal
is
to be like Chase and to always be armed, not just be armed sometimes, like certain people that we won't name on our show, then you can go to crossbreedholsters.com. The ultimate insider joke.
Yeah.
The ultimate insider joke. But if your goal is to be armed all the time, is to be a genuine armed citizen, well, I bet you that my friends at Crossbreed Holsters can help you. And if you go over there to crossbreedholsters.com, they can help you with your goal of being an armed citizen. So there you go. If your goal is also to have a gun that is clean and rust-free and working well, you might want to check out our friends at Frog Lube. Frog Lube is a bio-based firearms lubricant. It is a 100%. It's a veteran-owned company. It's an American company, and it's owned and chaired by a United States military, honorably discharged. How many more descriptors can I put in this title? Veteran. So there you go. Frog Lube, it's green, it's minty fresh. It just works, and it is extreme. Century Arms is the sweetest smelling arms maker in the U.S. of A. Now, I wasn't joking yesterday when I said the Canic pistols are too cheap. You're like, that's not possible, Paul. It's not. Actually, it is. It can be.
And by cheap, he means inexpensive.
Inexpensive, yeah. And I don't.
There is a difference, yeah.
Inexpensive. You guys, American gun buyers, have gotten spoiled. They are. Now, if you're a discerning buyer, you're like, yeah, buddy, I'm going to make sure that I have one for myself and one for my spouse and one for my kid and one for, that kind of stuff. But, whew, man, for the price of one, do you realize that, Jarrad, that people will spend like $1,000 plus for these Gucci guns that they load with Hydra shocks so they can go and brag to their friends?
That's more of a status, though.
And for the $1,000, they could buy not one, not two, but 3 TP9 Elites.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, maybe not 3, maybe like 2.5.
Well, I mean, if you get them from the right place at the right time, you can get 3 and then have some money left over.
Yeah, wow. Or if you're a smart guy, what you could do is you could buy one and a case. Not a box, not a couple boxes, but you buy one and then you buy a case of ammunition so you can get out there and actually learn something. So get some confidence with your gun. Century Arms, you can find out more about them at centuryarms.com. Or
specifically, if you want to check out the TP9, just go to Canik, CANIK, USA.com.
USA.com. And last but certainly not least, in our hit parade of fan favorites and people who make it possible for me to have a black carbon steel microphone, is Duracoat, because life is too short to have an ugly gun. And if you did a Duracoat project over Father's Day weekend, cool, good on you. Take some pictures of that sucker and hashtag it Duracoat and share it on the Instagrammage. They love to see your pictures.
I think I found something that you should not Duracoat.
Oh.
You want to know what it is? Besides
the internal workings of your gun?
Yeah.
What else should you not Duracoat?
Your ammunition.
Okay, yeah, he's right.
What do you think?
Well, you can. That's the thing, is you could. We don't suggest it, but if you're an American, you can. Now, it's not going to work very well, but I would suggest not Duracoating your ammunition.
You see what I was thinking.
And don't Brasso your ammunition either.
What I was thinking was I was going to load my shotgun with buckshot and then slugs and then bean bags and salt. And I was going to color code each one specifically to the colors that I wanted, so I would know
shells.
Which one was what. That way, if I ever need to use it, then I know which one's in the chamber.
You could put a table on the side of on the stock. You could put a color-coded table so you'd know which shell was which.
Yeah.
That might work.
What do you think?
I don't know. I'll have to ponder that a little bit longer. But in the meantime, while I'm pondering that, why don't I let Alex give him some advice?
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Yes, indeed. That's what you can and should do. I've got a story here, and the reason I decided to throw this in here is because I think there's still, strangely enough, a little bit of confusion when it comes to the use of a rifle in a lethal force encounter. All right? And this story from WIBW.com gave me the fantastic opportunity to re-examine it. Some parents upset by purchase of rifles for any Northeast Kansas school officers. What? Story from June 12th, Overland Park, Kansas. This is very serious now. Serious face. Some parents of Shawnee Mission School District students in eastern Kansas aren't happy to learn the public school district has bought 8 semi-automatic rifles for its school resource officers. Hey, Jarrad, what did the former Secret Service chick tell us the other day on TV? She's like, well, the difference between a pistol and a rifle like this is the rifle was semi-automatic. What does that mean there, sweetie? It means that it has a switch on it. So you flip the switch and it goes pop, pop, pop. That actually happened on national television, and we're going to address that in great detail on the... I put it into the bonus hour for Friday because...
Yeah, it's going to need to be in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's going to have to be in there. The Kansas Star reports that according to the school district's records... Now, this is what's kind of crazy here. All right. The story's from June 12th, 2017. The Kansas Star reports that according to district records, in September of 2015... the district ordered 8 Smith & Wesson semi-automatic rifles for the 7 district resource officers and 1 supervisor who Douglas oversees on the district police force. Okay, so they ordered these guns 2 years ago? Almost? Not quite 2 years ago. A year and 10 months ago. Some parents, like Lisa Veglin, were unnerved by the discovery. Veglin says she questioned the effectiveness of such high-powered weaponry in the face of... Oh, Jarrad, can you help me out here. Did Lisa Vaglin say that she questioned the effectiveness? What?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Is it like not effective enough, or is it too effective?
It's too, like, question the effectiveness of such high-powered weaponry in the face of an active shooter in the school. What? Other parents, like Melissa Pat, say that nearly $6,000 purchase was excessive at the time when school budgets are tight. Hey, Melissa, you go fornicate yourself with that, because $1,000 says I could take the school budget and I could find way more than $6,000 worth of stupid crap that your school spends. Stupid crap that your school spends money on.
Apparently, the safety of the children is not in her best interest.
Well, but John Douglas, the district's director of safety and security, says some of the other parents say that the rising threat of active shooter situations in schools makes the high-powered guns necessary. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and take a second to examine. And, of course, this story made it to the social media. And, Jarrad, do you see the picture? This is a stock photo, obviously. It's from Joe Saragino. Joe Saragino. It's a stock photo of a rifle with some Magpul furniture on it, man. It's got the, you know why it's super lethal? Because it has the Magpul ARG on the front of it. Angled rifle grip there. Yeah, that makes it more lethal. But it has a Surefire light on it, which is cool. And do you see what's on the front of it? Can you see the picture there? Look at the muzzle device. That's a Noveski pig, the flaming pig. And I guarantee you that this is not actually a picture of the guns that the SRO guys are carrying. Oh, and it also has an ambidextrous safety, which is an abomination before the Lord, but that's another subject altogether. I just thought that was interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and face facts. People like, what's her name? Lisa Vaglin questions the effectiveness of a high-powered I don't even understand that sentence. Yeah, she questions the effectiveness of it. So if little Johnny Jihad, Dirk Allah, Muslim missionary, walks into your kid's school and decides he's going to do Beslan Part 2, that if the SRO grabs up his 5.56 rifle and starts putting, some pills into Johnny Jihad, that it's not going to stop him? Oh, let me guess, Jarrad. It'll over-penetrate Johnny Jihad, right? No. What do people not understand about this? Now, the reason that I put this in here was not because of the actual story itself, because, well, Americans are going to be weak and stupid, and women are going to say weak and stupid things. That's just what's going to happen. We can't stop that from happening, can we, folks? And if you're a woman out there and your panties just got bunged, take a second, pull your panties out, and police your own. Because idiots like this Lisa Vaglin person, you need to address them yourself, okay? But let's go ahead and address using a rifle as a self-defense or a fighting tool. The fact of the matter is, a rifle is a better fight stopper. If you want to stop a bad person physiologically, quick, fast, and in a hurry from doing bad things, from continuing to do bad things, the best tool that is available to you as an individual human, I'm not talking about crew serves or artillery or anything like that. I'm talking about you're just a guy or a gal. The best tool for you to have in your hand here in the year 2017 is a rifle. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to hurt some of you guys' feelings and so forth, but the best rifle for you to have is some type of stoner-based rifle. They're simple, easy to use. They have relatively mild recoil. They're very accurate. They're more accurate than the human being who's holding them in their hands. And the ammunition, whether or not your grandpa told you that the .223 is a prairie dog cartridge or it's a varmint cartridge or it's not good on humans. The science has been settled, and yes, it is. Okay. So stop saying stupid crap like that. Every once in a while, some troglodyte or dinosaur will pop up on social media and say, why don't you throw away that AR and get yourself a good gun like an M1A or so. Stop yourself. Stop yourself. We're not talking about people shooting a 1,000-yard match at Camp Perry. That's not what these SROs are doing. That's not what these people are doing. What they need to do is they need to put a few rounds directly on target, and they need to do it in a hurry. They need to do it accurately, and they need for that round, when it impacts with the flesh target, to do good things, such as destroy internal organs and cause heavy, massive hemorrhaging and interrupt the central nervous system and so on and so forth. And the best tool, the best man-portable tool to do that right now is a rifle. And I don't understand what the problem is. And people understand. Now, here's where people kind of lost track, or they get off track, is they start talking about schools and they start using the distance. Like, I don't know about you, but the hallway in my high school is, from one end of the hallway to the next is almost 100 yards. And they make the argument that SROs need rifles based upon the length of the hallways and the possible distance to Johnny Jihad and so on. And yes, while that is actually something to consider, that's not the selling point for a rifle. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. The selling point for using a lightweight stoner-based rifle like this Smith & Wesson M&P 15, which is what they're talking about, is not so that the SRO can shoot a guy at 100 yards down a hallway. Yes, that is possible, but that's not the point. The point is that a well-thought-out 5.56 ammunition purchase is going to do way more good things on the impact end than any handgun you could ever have in your holster. It's going to be more effective. And it's going to have a less likely chance of passing through Johnny Jihad, going out the other side and hitting little Jimmy or Susie in the classroom behind him. And it will make them stop doing their bad stuff much faster. Number one, we have a rifle. We have a 5.56 rifle. The caliber, the bullet, the cartridge is a more effective man-stopper than any handgun that you could carry. That's number one. Number two, when you have a long gun, you have a greater chance of hitting your target because you have 4 points of contact on the gun instead of 2. It's easier to stabilize the gun. The sights are longer. You have less margin of error. You have a reduced margin of error with a rifle than you do with a handgun. Handgun rifles also tell bad people that you mean business. Now, that's not always a factor, but sometimes it is. If you put other things on them, like in this example right here, there's a Surefire light or a white light. If you put a white light on a long gun, it enables you to activate the white light and keep two hands on the gun and clearly identify what it is you're trying to shoot at, which is kind of an important thing. Wouldn't you say, Jarrad? That if an SRO is moving around the hallways and there's like bang bang and scream scream, do you want them shooting at sounds and shadows, or do you want them to kind of know what they're doing?
I would appreciate that they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, that they could see and positively identify their targets. There are so many reasons why, if there is an active shooter, if there's a Beslan Part 2, and if you don't know if I'm saying Beslan Part 2 and you don't know what Beslan Part 1 is, you need to stop right now, do a Google search, and it's going to scare the ever-living crap out of you.
This is something that I had never learned about. Dad actually, it was, 2-3 years ago? We were talking about it on the radio. Yeah, but it was when we were doing our radio, and then you asked me, you're like, well, you know what Beslan is, right? I was like, no. And so he informed me, and I looked it up and did more research, and yeah, It's one of those things where we've been saying for 3, 4, 5 years now that it's coming here.
That's what the jihadis want. They have in store for your children.
Yeah. And it's sad because the people in power don't really care.
No, it's they're all religion of peace and yeah.
And it kind of seems like from this story, it seems like the parents don't even care because the school resource officers are trying to do something to, if this does happen, they'll have the equipment and the stuff to get it to combat the not experience, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that'll never happen. And
it's ridiculous.
Don't you know that you're more likely to be injured with your own gun than to ever use it to defend yourself? You shouldn't even have a gun. If Johnny Jihad comes to my school, I want the SRO to dialogue with them. I want him to read him a chapter out of The Purpose-Driven Life. That'll stop him. Yeah, that'll stop him. Mm-hmm. Yep. So the next time a Democrat or a Democrat supporter goes into a school or a mall, a church, and decides they're going to slaughter the infidel, they're going to slaughter the Republicans and the conservative Christians, you probably would wish that the guy responding had a rifle or the guy who was there. Now, the people that are responding who are going to be standing out in the parking lot, they'll have rifles. But it doesn't really do you any good if you're inside of a large building and there's a bunch of Muslim missionaries or registered Democrats walking around slaughtering people. It doesn't really help you out that there are people standing in the parking lot next to their cars with rifles, does it? Nah, it doesn't. I know, I'm just hurting people's feelings and slapping them with reality here, and that's not fair, and I need to stop. All right, kids, cats and kittens of all ages, it's Wednesday, and it's time for a Brownells Bullet Point. Woo! Well, keeping in line with our discussion of using a 5.56 rifle as a self-defense tool, I thought, what the heck? I'm going to go to Brownells, and we're going to use the bullet points to talk about choosing a 5.56 load. And yes, we've done this before, but apparently not everyone is getting it. I don't understand. Jared, why do I do these shows if people don't listen? I don't understand.
For the people that do listen.
For the people. It's for the people, man. All right. Number one, the last thing you want to use as a self-defense load for your 5.56 is green tip steel core. All right. I know. And the crazy thing is, you want to know the crazy thing is the green tip is probably the worst. It's the worst ammunition to use for training if you're going to shoot steel, because it ruins steel targets unless they're really, really super high speed, expensive steel targets. If they're just generic steel targets, that just chews them up, right? Green tip is terrible for personal defense shooting because it generally zips right through people and comes out the other side because it's designed to penetrate Russian body armor, and most of the people attacking you aren't going to be wearing Russian body armor. But despite those facts and despite what you and I, as students of the gun, know, when you price it, the people selling it to you, they act like they're selling you they're selling you gold or silver or platinum, and they charge you way more for it than other types of ammunition. I'm like, I don't understand that at all, but whatever. Number one, if I was going to use a 5.56 or 223 load as a self-defense, and right, I'm going to tell you a secret. There's a black rifle. Where I sleep, there is a black rifle with a red dot optic and a white light, and it has a magazine that is filled with 77 grain Black Hills Mark 262. That is my go-to people killing load. If I had to make a human predator stop trying to hurt me or my family, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put more than one, probably, projectile of 77 grain Black Hills Mark 262 into them and make them stop trying to hurt my family. If you can't have that, all right, there are others available. But I would choose it depends. Some manufacturers sell it as a BTHP, a ballistic tip, or a BTHP hollow point, ballistic tip hollow point, or an OTM. What is an OTM? Open tip match. You're like, open tip match? What? But aren't they putting that on bullets that they use to shoot humans? Why is it an open tip match? Boat tail hollow point. I knew it wasn't ballistic tip. I was losing my mind here. Boat tail hollow point, or I'm sorry, I do these things a lot here, or an OTM load. Now, the Marine Corps decided that they were going to come up with an OTM load, and I think it's a 65 grain OTM 5.56. What is the Marine Corps doing? They call it the Mark 318. If you can get a hold of it, the Mark 318 Mod Zero ammunition. What does Federal makes it? I think there are other companies that are making it as well, but it's not a 77 grain. It is a something else. Let me pull it up here. Oh, it's a 62 grain. So the Mark 318 USMC load is a 62 grain OTM, open tip match. Now, I'm telling you guys all this stuff, and a lot of you are out there, you're like, yeah, man, but that's really expensive stuff, and Mark 262 and all that stuff is expensive. And I say to you, yes, I understand that. So I'm not telling you to buy a case of Mark 262 and go to a training class and shoot it up. Did I ever say that? No, I didn't. What I'm telling you is that if you're going to load up a magazine, put it in your rifle, and you're thinking in your head there, hey, I might need to stop a human predator, a serious bad guy, quick, fast, and in a hurry with this ammo, then spend the money, put it in your mag, and use it as your killer ammo, as your self-defense ammo, as your protecting ammo, as your fighting ammo, whatever you're going to call it. And when you go to the range, buy a whole boatload of 55 grain full metal jacket and drive on, brother, and get some trigger time and get some practice in and get some training. Do that. There you go. Other accessories, and we mentioned this, and I'm going to talk about it just a little bit more in detail. If you buy a modern, high-quality red dot optic, and the fact of the matter is here we go again with American gun buyers being spoiled. When I was coming up, red dot optics were available, but they were fragile and they were battery eaters. They measured the total runtime of red dots. When I was a teenager and when I joined the Marine Corps, you could get red dots. I mean, they had them, but man, they were battery cannibals. They measured the total battery time in like single-digit hours. You get 8 hours of runtime from one battery, and people are like, wow, really? 1988, we're buying red dots, and they're like, you can get 10 hours of continuous runtime from one battery. And we were like, all right, man. Now they're measuring battery runtime on red dots in the thousands of hours. I'll give you a great example. The Aimpoint T1 Micro, the Micro T1. You put a fresh battery in it. You put it on the middle setting. I'm not sure I don't know if they have 11 settings or 10 or how that is. But you put it on the middle setting and you leave it turned on, and you'll have to change the battery in 4 or 5 years. Yeah. The red dot on my, like I said, I have a black stoner-based rifle that is within where I can put my hand on it. And I put a fresh battery in it. I put it on the middle red dot setting, and I leave it turned on. I don't even turn it off. I just leave it on constantly. You're like, man, the battery will die. Yeah, once every 3 or 4 years, I'll probably have to change the battery. So I think I can deal with it. I can spend, and they're like, those batteries are expensive. Okay, let's say the battery is $4 or $5. Let's just throw that out there. Say, man, that's a $5 battery. That's an expensive battery. And I have to spend $5 once every 4 or 5 years. Let's just say 3 years. Jarrad, can you budget $5 over the period of 3 years? Is it too much for you? Or?
I think I could do that.
You got a life-saving tool, right? You got a tool that you're going to use to potentially keep people from killing you and your family. And you're like, I'm not spending no $3.80 for a battery, man. That's just way too much. Same thing goes with white lights. There's all kinds of different white lights out there. And I'll advise you to do this. If you're going to shop for a white light, shop for one that has a temporary on-off switch if you can, that has one that you can activate with your thumb, because you're not going to want to be flipping small, tiny switches. In the panic, oh crap, it's 2:34 a.m. and I just heard glass break. When you grab your rifle, that's not the time to be looking for fine, small, tiny switches that you're not going to have a whole lot of digital dexterity when you just come out of a deep sleep and now there's, bad critters in your house. Get something that's going to be easy and instinctive to operate. And generally the lights that have a big rubber temporary on-off switch that you can hit with your meaty part of your thumb, that's good. And again, the same thing goes with the red dots. If you're going to use a red dot and your red dot has a small or a tiny switch and you're like, oh man, I know. When I wake up at 2:30 in the morning in a blind panic because someone just smashed in my back door, I'm going to have the wherewithal to find that tiny little switch. Really? Is it fun there where you live? Is it fun there where you live? No. You're going to be fumbling with it and you're going to be angry at yourself because your hands are shaking. You can't find that tiny little switch to turn the red dot on. Buy a quality optic. Put it on the middle setting. Now, let's face it, if it's going to be dark, the middle setting will probably be plenty bright. And leave that sucker turned on and then check it once in a while, okay? And when it comes to ammunition, I'm telling you, if you're going to load up a black rifle, now obviously you want to load it, take it to the range, pattern it at 20 yards or 25 yards or whatever. If it's a personal defense gun and you BZO it, that's battle sight 0, at 25 or 50, you're probably golden because you're shooting at two-legged monsters here. We're not shooting at prairie dogs, and we're not shooting a Camp Perry 1,000-yard match here. We're talking about putting bullets on a bad guy who's probably going to be less than 25 yards away from you. So spend the extra money, buy good ammunition, do your research, and stop listening to ninnies and nabobs like Susan Vegan and whatever. All right, kids, that's it for today. I think I'm all done talking about that topic. What are we going to talk about tomorrow? I'm going to give you a hint. Oh, the Brits want the guns back. I feel like, Jarrad, do you feel like you're in like some kind of psycho time loop or like?
Yeah.
It's like there's a new story about how British citizens are demanding their gun rights back after yet another series of Muslim missionary attacks. What the heck? We'll just chat about that for a little bit tomorrow. And then, of course, tomorrow we will also have a student of the gun homeroom brought to you by Crossbreed Holsters, and we're going to get dangerous. Yeah. So we've got all that to look forward to. There you go. And if you're a grad program member, we're going to have all kinds of just super happy, fun stuff to talk about on Friday. Until then, remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.